Welcome! Today we are diving into a really incredible concept called the architecture of becoming. If you're a focused learner trying to level up your life, you are going to love this. The core idea here is a fascinating, literally undeniable truth. You just cannot sustain high levels of achievement without first becoming the person capable of holding it all up. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't try to build a towering skyscraper on a super fragile foundation, right? Well, as we'll see today, deep internal growth is the absolute strict prerequisite for sustained external success.
Section 1. The Spark of Change. Okay, let's dive into this. Why do we actually change? I really want you to pause for a second here. Seriously, think about your own life. Why do you, specifically, alter your trajectory? When you look back at your major pivots, those moments where you finally decided to wake up earlier or work harder or totally shift your mindset, what was the real driving force behind that shift?
Well, according to the framework we're exploring today, we fundamentally change for one of two reasons: inspiration or desperation. That's literally it. Those are the two great catalysts for human transformation. Either we're pulled forward by a super compelling vision of what we could be, or we're pushed from behind by the sheer unbearable pain of where we currently are.
And our source text gives us a crystal clear directive here. Put emphasis on inspiration. Look, while desperation definitely forces our hand and can kickstart a sudden shift, it's basically just a reactive state. If you want to build a lasting, stable architecture for your life, you absolutely must proactively choose inspiration. You've got to actively seek out the ideas, the environments, and the mindset that pull you upward, rather than just waiting around until the walls are closing in to finally make a move.
Section 2. Getting versus becoming.
All right, so this is where we hit a really great paradox, the tension between what we want to acquire out there in the real world and who we need to be internally to actually hold on to it. Let's unpack this carefully. Becoming isn't just some final endpoint or a distant finish line you eventually cross. It's the active, ongoing state of attracting what you currently have in your life right now. Our source material stresses that getting and becoming are so closely intertwined, you just can't separate them. The process of who you're actively turning into is the exact same mechanism that draws in the things you acquire. One directly influences the other.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the concept right here. Most of what you have today, you have attracted by becoming the person you are right now. Just take a look at your current reality for a second. Your current level of satisfaction, your environment, your achievements, they're all a direct reflection of the person you've become up to this very second. Kind of a profound thought, isn't it? If you want to change what you're experiencing, you literally have to change the magnet. You have to fundamentally change who you are.
So getting is what you acquire externally, right? But becoming is who you develop into internally. And the text is super unequivocal about this. What you become is far more important than what you get. The external stuff, the acquisitions, they're just byproducts. The real value, the true wealth, is always generated internally. And this sets the stage perfectly for understanding the realities of wealth, success, and how we handle our resources.
Section 3. The Law of Income.
Let this sink in for a moment. Income rarely exceeds personal development. It's a pretty hard-hitting aphorism, but it absolutely dictates our financial and external capacity. Really, it's the central pillar of the architecture we're talking about today.
And this brilliantly illustrates the concept. When your system is in equilibrium, your personal development, your skills, your mindset, your capacity to solve problems, is at the exact same height as your income. Your baseline income naturally aligns perfectly with your current internal capacity. They're a matched pair.
But hey, sometimes life throws a curveball, right? Sometimes your income takes a lucky jump. Think of the classic lottery winner or maybe someone who goes viral overnight. Their income shoots way up due to a sudden windfall or a lucky break. But look at their internal personal development. It's still sitting way down at its original baseline. Because of this, the architecture is now dangerously out of balance. And this creates a massively critical period of vulnerability. When you experience that lucky jump, our source gives a very stern warning. You absolutely must rapidly learn to handle the new responsibilities that come with that sudden increase. Because frankly, if you don't experience the rapid internal growth needed to match that external spike, the whole structure becomes totally unstable. Ultimately, you'll only keep the exact amount that your internal foundation can actually handle.
See, if your personal development stays the exact same, that sudden windfall will usually shrink right back down. It just vanishes, completely collapsing until it matches who you actually are. The market, the world, your reality, it always corrects itself back to your internal baseline, no exceptions.
Section 4. The Infinite Blueprint. So, the big question is, how do we prevent that collapse?
How do we continually raise both of those bars? Well, we have to treat self-work as a lifelong structural plan. As the text explicitly states, working on ourselves is a never-ending pursuit. In fact, it's described as the most challenging assignment of all. There's no graduation day for personal development, guys. It's a business that lasts a lifetime. You are the architect, and the construction is literally never finished.
Let's see how this builds into an actionable, continuous loop of lifelong growth. Step 1, you must take absolute self-responsibility to continuously learn and grow. Nobody else can do the reps for you. Step 2, you have to continuously engage in this process, day in and day out, totally regardless of external circumstances. And step 3, which is incredibly vital, in this process, you must help others reach higher standards in their own lives. Teaching and elevating others reinforces your own foundation and absolutely accelerates your own becoming.
Which brings us to the core thesis of our entire explainer today. To have more than you've got, become more than you are. Listen, if there is one single sentence you take away from this, this is it. Don't focus entirely on the having. Focus your energy, your time, and your intense dedication entirely on your internal development. If you expand your capacity, I promise you, the having will inevitably follow.
So, the crucial point is, it all comes down to this ultimate reality check. Unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you've got. Think about it. If you remain exactly the same person today that you were yesterday, your output, your income, and your external reality will remain identically stagnant. True change is simply not optional if you desire a different outcome.
And that leaves us with this final provocative question to really reflect on. Look at the actions you took this morning. Look at the thoughts you're holding right now and the responsibilities you are actively choosing to shoulder. Look at your architecture. What are you becoming today? Take responsibility for that blueprint. Choose inspiration, and let's get to work.